So my name is Mangubat. I started real estate in 2016. Funny thing, me and Marco went to college together at University of Delaware. Then me and Brittany were at like the entry level classes together back when it was like one Keller Williams. So yeah, I'm the co-founder of Advanced Philly. Last year I sold 35 million myself, and Advanced Philly, like on and off market, we sold about 85 million last year in 2021.
Francis, can you talk about your first 2 years in the business?
Yeah, so Caitlin, my first 2 years in the business, I started in 2016. I mean, it was definitely much different than what I'm doing now. When I first started, I was just, college kid from University of Delaware, didn't know anyone in the city. So kind of similar to Brittany, all I did was network and really work like 80 hours a week. So at 5:30 a.m. in the gym, I was at City Fitness in like your group workout class. And then all throughout the day, I mean, I would want to do meetings, just grab coffee, lunch, dinner, happy hour with someone new. And my criteria was you either had to live in the city or work in the city. And then for me, I got uncomfortable where I didn't want to meet with like my friends that were 22 to 25. I wanted to meet with individuals that were like 26 to 45 that were super successful in their field. And I just did that 80 hours a week to go hand in hand with 4 open houses a weekend. And yeah, I grew my business super organically, all word of mouth. Never really paid for leads. I think we lost like $50,000 investing in Zillow and Redfin. But at the end of the day, what I do is all I look to do is add value to clients, because when you add value to clients, you make your clients money. You get a lot of repetitive and referrals for business.
Okay, so if you were starting out today, besides networking, what would you say to a brand new agent?
So starting my business today from scratch, I would be doing 4 open houses every single weekend. You have buyers, sellers, the nosy neighbors that want to come in. And I would say like best piece of advice to new agents is that you want to learn from someone. I mean, anyone on this panel would be worth learning from, but take a look at your mentor and just think to yourself like, hey, if a year or 2 years or 3 years went down the road, would I want to trade places with them, or would I want to be in the same place as them? And just really be careful who you take the advice from, because some people just want to make money off their agents, but there's other great mentors with a lot of value to give, and their time is very valuable. So it's kind of finding the perfect balance, and that's how you find the right mentor. Yeah, so my niche in the business, well, let me preface this and ask everyone a question. Like, has anyone here like made money in real estate or thought it would be a good idea to make money in real estate? Just like a little hand raise. So my niche is that I make my clients a lot of money by investing in real estate. So when I first got started in the business, I ended up buying a new construction house in Point Breeze on 20th and Tasker Street, around that area. I put like $18,000 down, and then I sold that house 5 years later, 2020, and my net to me was 100 grand. So it was just like 5x in 5 years. And I realized that there's a lot of people in the business that are just buying homes, but they don't look at the financial aspect or the numbers behind that. So for me, I just educate my clients on the market and create opportunities for them. I'll give you a perfectly good example. One of my very good friends is a Harvard Law alum. She was living on around like 17th and Chestnut. She was renting for about $2,500 a month. I just thought, why don't you just buy something? And so 2020 in Grad Hospital, there was a house that was, I thought like $150,000 below market value. So we end up getting this house at $575,000. It was a new construction, high-end finishes, but the location was marginal. It's on, I think like 18th and Carpenter. And so now that house is worth $750,000, and they're so pleased with their investment that the next house, we end up getting a value add, grandma house on 19th and Delancey with garage. And so they're up about, 200,000 on their first house. So now, there's another opportunity to go make more income. So, we get this shell for $1 million. It's a couple $100,000 to put into it, and my client should make around $500,000 on the deal for their next home. And what's great is they're living in this home as their primary residence, so their bank rate, I mean, should still, I think they locked in at around 4%. So there's essentially zero risk. And just building a business of developers, investors, home buyers, just like clientele that would want to make an income from investing in real estate because they have to live somewhere anyways. I think the end result is super cool. I think I put the most amount of listings on the market. I think the last 10 days I put 33 listings on the market. So
I have a question. So I want to say I think it's great that you've based your business around making people money because it's like everyone wins, right? Like you're making money, they're making money. I guess my question for some of the newer agents would be, how do you identify what's a good property? Do you think that comes with time? Have you always been great with numbers? Have you learned from mentors? Just so other people can walk into a property and think like this would be great. Have you educated yourself around like the city? Like how do you go into it knowing like this is a great deal for my client?
Yep, so the way that I did it personally was I would do 4 open houses a weekend. And then so by doing 4 open houses a weekend, I'm relaying the buyer agent and buyer feedback to the seller agent. The seller agent is delivering that feedback to their client. And so by just doing 4 every single weekend, 200 open houses a year, you really get a pulse on the market. Right. And on top of that, I would look at the hot sheets. Every active under contract in my neighborhood that I'm looking, kind of like how Alone looked at every single building, I would just figure out what's good value, and then like at times I would guess where something hits on the market, and I'd write something down in my notes. What is this property going to sell at? What's the days on market? And that's how you get really, really good at valuing things and start knowing like different things that add value to the market. So 14 foot wide in Grad Hospital, what's the difference in pricing if it goes 16 foot wide? What's a 1-car garage worth? What's it worth if it's 20 foot wide? What's it worth if it has grandma house finishes, or if you do, middle class, like middle high end, like a KitchenAid plant, what's that worth? Or if you're doing Sub-Zero Wolf and you're doing all this crazy stone, how much value does that add? So it's all these different it's just through experience. You just have to keep doing it and taking action every single day.
I think that's inspiring because a lot of people get frustrated, like, well, I'm not from the city, but you grew up in Delaware, so it does show that if you put yourself out there, you can definitely learn the streets and the city and what makes sense.
Yeah, thanks. I'd like to add something too. If anyone here wants to learn about like networking and how it is meeting with people, I think the best person that I've ever met at this city that's really, really good at that is Rachel Rao. I have not seen anyone better, and so I would, if you're new, I'm serious, like I would schedule a cup of coffee with her and talk about how she did it, because it's super impressive, and I'm super proud of like the business that she has built.
You're embarrassing me. Go ahead, Marco.
Wait, can I just ask one more question?
Sure.
So with your philosophy and everything, based on how the market is right now, because houses are being sold at a high premium, how do you convey that to the buyers that are buying right now as far as an investment? Because now they're like, oh, I'm overpaying. So how do you speak to that as far as what's going on in the industry right now?
So every buyer has a specific criteria. So I just touch on why they want to do it. And sometimes if the why is, I'll give you an example. One of my clients had to roll, I think they made, a good amount of money from a property in Florida. And so they had to 1031 that investment into something else, where the numbers didn't really work because the rates jacked up 2%. So in that case, I'm like, to get something cash flow positive, it's just not really going to work at today's rate. So it's just not going to work. So 1031 exchange is if you, let's say there's $100,000 profit on a property, and you can essentially roll that profit in without having to pay tax by getting an intermediary to hold the money temporarily, and it's what's called a 1031, and you don't have to pay taxes on the money that you made as long as you roll it into an equal or like kind asset, which is real estate.
It can't touch your bank account, and the IRS won't recognize it.
Right.
And you have a certain amount of period of time to identify a new property.